I have some news for you, sir.
Yeah.
I have submitted a story.
Okay.
I wrote it on my phone,
All right.
specifically for not an anthology, a quarterly journal.
All right.
Do you want to know the name of this journal? I might have told you this already.
Tell me again.
The Taco Bell Quarterly.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You sent me a link to the thing.
And they pay $100 per story. And they are not affiliated with Taco Bell at all.
Right.
I dug a little deeper into them, and it's just a bunch of artsy-fartsy people who, I don't know, I guess they're being ironic, but something about corporate America. I don't know. I don't know exactly why they picked Taco Bell Quarterly, but they pay good money. And I said, hey, I can write a Taco Bell story.
Well, it doesn't even have to be like Taco Bell like based or anything, right?
It just has to have Taco Bell mentioned, or even they even say in the guidelines something as simple as just bringing up a chalupa.
Yeah.
It just has to be something about Taco Bell has to be involved at some point. It doesn't have to be a plot line, or it could just be a passing, hey, let's go to Taco Bell, you know. But I wrote a Taco Bell story. Do you want to hear the opening of my Taco Bell story?
Well, can I guess like just the main theme of it is just a guy just destroying the bathroom of the Taco Bell?
No, yes and no.
Oh, wow.
My story, and you're not going to get this from the opening, it turns out it's about a sad couple in this. It's not a Taco Bell. It's a Poor Taco. It's a made-up taco chain. At least I hope it's made up. But it's a couple inside of a taco place having a bad time. Their food is gross. And then it slowly devolves into you kind of find out the girl had a miscarriage, and that's why the relationship is on the rocks. And then it ends where the guy trying to salvage this relationship, and he exclaims, you know what, this place sucks. Let's actually go to Taco Bell, have a better time. These tacos are like, instead of eating these miscarriages, we call it shit.
Fire.
And he realizes he blows it, and then I'll read you the last line of it too. The very last line is he made it all the way to the toilet but missed the bowl. But I threw a good metaphor in there before that, so it makes better sense. But here's how this opens, because I wanted to start off as ridiculous as possible before it hits you with the more serious stuff.
Yeah. And
I wanted it to be in such a way where it's so off-setting, where you have one end is outrageously stupid, gross stuff, and then serious stuff, and I don't know if it works, but I enjoyed writing it. Wrote it very quickly, too. I think it ended up about 1,300 words. So my story is called Because of Taco. Because Poor Taco means because of taco.
Oh.
Ah.
I thought maybe they were going to name the baby Taco.
That would have been cool, too, but the baby didn't make it. 4 spritzes of colon cologne soured the entire Poor Taco lobby. It was a grade A beefer, but there wasn't a single patron who gave the offensive rectal perfume a second whiff. At the back end of the joint sat a down-in-the-dumps couple who weren't quite enjoying their mealy corn and meat foodstuffs. Why is it called Poor Taco? The young man asked before biting into an unpleasantly wet chicken taco. The entire shell of the young woman's taco broke into a million stale shards when she picked it up. Damn it, she said dejectedly. What did you say, Brody? This place. Brody went for a second bite, but upon seeing an off-white liquid oozing out of the poultry, he thought better of it and put the taco back down. Why is it called Poor Taco? I don't know. She molded her semi-congealed and recently massacred taco into a neat meat mound. It was more broken than her dad's second family. Because of taco. What? She scooped up a palm full of food and bird-pecked it out of her hand. It didn't improve the Poor Taco dining experience, but didn't make it worse either. That's what it means in Spanish. Because of taco. And then it goes on in such a way, but then you eventually get to the serious stuff. But I went with the very gross tacos.
I like the colon cologne.
The colon cologne was a personal favorite. I like that it was a spritz of colon cologne. The rectal perfume. But I think that'll hit you just so you get into it going, this is going to be a ridiculous story. Yeah. And then you slowly, because that's the thing about the Taco Bell Quarterly, they want literary fiction. It's like, well, how can we do literary fiction that's also gross like Caleb likes?
Yeah.
We'll do both. Yeah. So that's where I'm at. I submitted to them, and maybe I'll get $100, or maybe I'll get rejected by the Taco Bell Quarterly, and then I don't know what I do with that story.
They get sued by Taco Bell. You get roped up into that lawsuit because they paid you for work.
Nutsacks. But I said good things about Taco Bell, so maybe they'll be all right with me.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe they'll be cool, man. Yeah, could you imagine Taco Bell suing a literary journal for taco stories?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, they use their logo, too. Like, I don't know how they get away with that.
Is it made to Taco Bell not trademark anything?
I believe they do. believe Taco Bell trademarks everything like every other corporation. Let me look up the Taco Bell logo real quick. I look up the Taco Bell Quarterly. I think Taco Bell Quarterly is Taco Bell's old logo, actually.
Maybe that's what it is.
And it has the TBQ on it, but it looks like their old logo, just the bell.
Yeah.
I don't think that's their logo. I think their logo's updated. It's still the bell, but I think it's like everything else in this country for some reason, it went into like this bland looking logo.
Did you have to fight the urge of trying to find a way to work like Pete Davidson into your stories and
No.
other shitty Taco Bell commercials?
No. See, look at the Taco Bell logo now. It's fucking terrible.
Yeah.
It's so bland. Lacks. Well, even like the restaurants, Taco Bell used to be fun, man. You know, they were colorful, and now everything's bland. I've ranted about this anyway. Every corporation, whether it's a McDonald's, Walmart, everything is just like this off brown and tan color. Everything is just everything looks the same. Why? What happened to colorful
Cheap.
restaurants? Cheap. Yeah, but they tore them down to rebuild them as like cheap.
Yeah.
Like, you remember, like, McDonald's used to just be colorful and fun.
Mhm.
And, I mean, we have the big dildo grimace, the butt plug grimace
Yeah.
that's killing people in the
You're
memes. I
right.
love those memes.
Yeah.
All these horror memes about the milkshake. Happy birthday, grimace. And
Mhm.
then something awful happens. Anyway, Spencer, do you know what we're going to be talking about on today's episode? You do, because I told you ahead of time.
Yes, I do.
We're going to be ruining Stephen King books for people.
Yeah.
And I don't really care if they get mad. At least they had the cold open if they don't want to listen to the rest of the episode.
True.
And if you want to read more of that taco story, write to Taco Bell Quarterly and tell them to accept it.
Went to Caleb Tacos.
Tacos. Hey, that Caleb guy has a taco story. I want to read the rest of it, so
Taco.
publish tacos and burritos for my bin. You are listening to the Drunken Pen Writing Podcast. Almost forgot the name. That's pretty sad.
That's not
I
good.
do so many podcasts nowadays. I just can't keep it all together, you know? Getting big. Getting real big in the world. I am your host, Caleb James. With me today, Spencer, the Dairy Dookie Decorator Church.
Ooh.
I was going to say diarrhea, but that seemed... How do you decorate with diarrhea? I guess you could put it in one of those cake decorating squirter things.
Maybe.
Ew.
Well, you just put like things in it.
But I think it would be too wet. You're not thinking of the wetness.
The wetness.
Yeah, you're not thinking of the
you
wetness.
fool, you're not thinking of the wetness.
Actually, he hits the hard bitch if you're thinking of the sunny clip.
Yeah.
You bitch, you didn't think of the smell. My microphone working, Spencer?
I don't know.
It kind of works. Hello, Dolly. What's your name? I don't know. I don't know what's working and what's not. I don't care anymore.
You're not going to delete any of that?
Eventually.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. You're just yawning.
Yeah, just do a big yawn right in the microphone.
You know what we're talking about, Spencer?
What
I
we
mentioned it in the cold open, but that could have been years ago. The fans don't know when we record these cold opens.
No.
Could be directly before the episode. It could be 3 days ago. We're just always in here. So according to my very detailed notes that I definitely took, we are covering the 20 best and worst Stephen King book endings.
Yes. Well, I think like 10 apiece. So
10 each, yes.
yeah.
So if you're listening to this episode, here is your spoiler alert. We're going to ruin 20 Stephen King books. Not just mildly give you a spoiler. We're going to ruin the whole... We're going to go just the endings.
Yeah.
Only the endings. So if you don't want the endings ruin of your Stephen King books, this is your last chance to stop listening. All right, I think most of them are gone.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was getting all up... No, sorry. Getting creepy. All right, Spencer, do you know what number... This isn't listed in numbers, even though it's numbered. It's not numbered.
I hate that.
They say it's numbered, but it's not numbered. So I'm just going to go...
I think it does like the...
worst to best.
Yeah.
Or is it best to worst? Let me look. Okay, this is worst to best.
Yeah.
So what is the worst Stephen King ending of all time, Spencer? You'll have to be the one to tell me if these are actually as bad as this list suggests. The Eyes of the Dragon. That's the one I've never read, or I heard of it only recently.
Yeah. It's like his only kind of like really fantasy kind of story.
No good or what?
I mean, it's okay. You can kind of tell fantasy isn't his strongest suit. The one thing I do like about it is it has Randall Flagg.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
The guy from The Stand and the Doc Tyler series is like the bad guy in it too. So,
Well, let's find out what makes this ending so erroneously bad, Spencer.
all right.
Let's see. So it's you have to like fairy tales and trick endings apparently to like this ending. If you don't, you probably won't like this. Just as the heroes close in on the evil magician Flagg in the novel's epilogue, the narrator pulls back, promising to tell the story of their encounter at another time. So if there's not a sequel, you're not going to get that story.
Yeah, and there hasn't been any sequel to it.
So it's upsetting because it's a non-ending.
Maybe.
Which is lazy, unless there's actually a sequel coming, which I've never heard of one coming. Next up, Rose Matter, another one I have not heard of. So this is one of the weirder Stephen King ones from what I understand. Is it about a lady named Rosie who leaves her abusive husband Norman and starts over without him?
Yep, that's the one.
It is. And she encounters a mysterious painting that leads to a fantastical alternate reality?
Uh-huh.
Yep, we're on the same page then.
Yep, that's what it is.
All right, so why does this turn into a bad ending, Spencer? Can you get? It's probably been a long time since you read this.
Yeah, I remember, but I can't. I remember like the husband dying. I do believe, but
well, the problem is she lures her abusive husband into a painting to get rid of him. So that's not so bad because he's a dickbag. But here's the bad part: she drugs and gaslights her new partner Bill to make him forget about Rose Matter's world. So it's basically the battered wife becomes the abuser. That's why it's a bad ending.
I mean, I think that's kind of like a very
realistic ending, maybe.
Yeah, or like just I think that's a good character thing. They get, that's like the circle. The circle's being complete.
I think that's what people get turned off about. Is I think we discussed this maybe our last episode or the episode before about turning your protagonist into an unlikable protagonist by the end. So if your protagonist turns into a character you dislike, then you have not succeeded as an author unless you're writing literary fiction. But in this case, it sounds like you said, the circle of abuse.
Yeah.
And you could even do a sequel where she's the bad guy.
The guy comes back out of the painting. Like, what the fuck? I've been in a painting for 15 years.
I don't know if you're going to agree with this one, but the next one, this is the third worst ever Stephen King ending, The Stand.
Yeah, it's I can see it's very controversial.
Well, it's the Deus Ex Machina to the most ridiculous degree. I have not read The Stand, but from reading this, it says it ends with the hand of God appearing in the sky above a double crucifixion to set off a nuclear warhead and the end of the good guys' epic struggle against evil. So God saves the day.
Though, you know what? Because I was just listening to one of the newest Kingcast episode, and they were actually, them and the guest was talking about this book, and they were talking about the ending, and they brought up a point that I didn't really think about it. Throughout this whole book, you have Randall Flagg, which is a terrible guy. He's basically like kind of like the devil. He's the,
Correct.
And then you have Mother Abigail, who's this nice elderly black lady, the good, like the angel. So you really have like angels versus demons throughout the kind of like the whole thing. And then to be like, well, then this hand, like, you know what I mean? It's like, if you're in for all that, like, you know what I mean?
At the very end, you're going to be... Well, how'd they do the movie adaptation, the made-for-TV movie at the end?
Oh, that old one?
Did they have a hand?
I can't remember how they did that old one. I think
a shitty wrinkled hand comes out of the sky?
I think they probably just did like some kind of like light explosion or something like that.
This is God.
Like I was saying, it was because like they don't have like people are having like nightmares and dreams of like these two characters telling them to either come to these two places. So it's like it's very like spiritual and like supernatural anyways. So it's like if you're in for all that, it's kind of like if you're into it for that much, like that shouldn't be the thing to take you out of it.
The next up is Wizard and Glass. What book is this? The Dark Tower. Doesn't say which one, but it's one of them.
Fourth, I think.
Apparently, this one is a real slog. Not the best one. I'm actually gonna have to read more of this because this one has some detail to it. So part of the reason for this being a bad ending goes with the novel's framing story, which begins with Roland and his cadet caught in a deadly game of riddles with Blaine the Mono, is far more intriguing than the lengthy flashbacks to Roland's youth it surrounds. We're inundated with Wizard of Oz references as the gunslinger and his posse traveled through Kansas, with the Emerald City literally hovering in the distance, but we only get to see the city and the wizard in person at the very end of the novel, at which point they promptly disappear. It's disappointing, to say the least. Sounds kind of like fucking horseshit to me.
Well, it's like, it is that one. It's like, this is what the one that, they were saying you kind of finally get the backstory, because you don't really get Roland's backstory for the first couple of novels.
Right.
And it is kind of like they were saying, like you get this big, like the book before it ends tensely with this big, riddle of like, in this train that's telling these riddles and they're in danger, and it's like, and then the next book that comes out, this whole big backlash. It's just like, oh well, it's good, but it's just like that's not what I wanted when I was got done reading the last book.
The next one, as far as my recollect, Stephen King doesn't even like this book, The Tommyknockers.
Yeah.
It's an alien novel. I think I watched. There's a movie.
I had one of those like
TV movies. I
yeah.
remember seeing when I was real little, and it was like aliens, and I was like, this is kind of dumb.
Yeah, what's his name? Jimmy Smits was the main character.
Jimmy Smits.
Yeah.
I forgot about Jimmy Smits. So basically, the ending is a spacecraft leaves Earth for good, thanks to the heroic efforts of one hard-drinking, self-sacrificing poet. The remaining Tommyknockers, townfolk who became something else under the aliens' influence, begin to kill themselves one by one until the cavalry arrives. By the time U.S. intelligence and military forces are done with them, only a handful of Tommyknockers remain, and all of them die in the shop. It's a rushed, too tidy ending for such a sprawling novel. So basically, the novel's actually not bad, just the ending really dwindled down to nothing. Next up, another controversial one, which I like the movie, Dreamcatcher.
I like the movie and I like the book.
Well, you're wrong. It sucks. It's garbage. Everyone hates it.
I know.
This is he wrote this right after his accident. It's the first book he wrote after his accident. We always say his accident. No, the accident happened to him. It wasn't his fault.
Right.
It wasn't like he slipped and fell. He got hit by a fucking drunk driver. Dreamcatcher isn't everyone's cup of tea, Spencer. Did you know that?
Yes, actually, yes.
It's another alien story, but it has a lot of parallels to it, from what I remember.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah.
But we'll get to the crux here. So, ignoring the fact that the main characters hail from Derry, Maine, unfortunately, Dreamcatcher also shares some of the problems found in The Green Mile. Namely, that a marginalized character with magical powers, in this case Duddits, a telepathic young man with Down syndrome, sacrifices himself to save a world that has largely been nothing but cruel to him. Just from when I read this last time, this article, this author seems to be upset with Stephen King's use of like the magical black guy trope and stuff, and in this one I guess it's the magical Down syndrome guy.
Yeah.
But I guess he just doesn't like marginalized groups being used as the magical appeasement to help and save Whitey or whatever. Which I guess I can understand.
But like, that's not an actual kid with Down syndrome. It's like an alien.
An alien. It's not a kid with the Down.
Yeah, but okay.
In the movie, it wasn't played by an actor with Down syndrome, if I remember correctly.
No, I don't believe so.
So that's the bullshit, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we should be upset about that. I just realized my chair's so busted up anymore. I'm always leaning back.
That had such a good cast in it, though.
Yeah, it was a good movie. It wasn't a bad movie. It wasn't the greatest, but I didn't think it was a bad movie. And Morgan Freeman was in it. He's a bad guy.
Shit weasels.
Yeah, shit weasels. Okay, this one you might not agree with. Under the Dome. Brother.
Yeah, no, I could see it because it was, again, kind of like, it's another one of those big, like, over 1,000 pagers, and you had all this room, and it did kind of rush to an ending that it didn't do it like a really good job of explaining.
Basically what it dwindles down to is you have this town in Maine that's encapsulated by a big dome.
Yes.
Perpetrated by teenage aliens, I believe.
That's what they kind of allude to, but you never like get 100%.
Yeah.
You know.
And then the ending is basically they just ask nicely.
Yeah, they're like pleading for.
Could you open the thing? And they're like, okay, and that's the end. So that does kind of suck. It was such a sprawling novel,
but it was really good though. Like I really did enjoy that novel when I read it.
Next up, and I'll disagree with this one to the grave. Actually, I haven't read the story, so I don't know if it's good. I just really like the movie, The Green Mile.
Yeah.
This one, his main the critique was that I don't even know if this is a male author. I'm assigning gender, which is wrong of me, but
You bigoted fuck.
yeah. But it's just, again, the magical black guy trope is John Coffey saves these whiteys who really did nothing for them, or for him. He just,
But I always look at that as like that just shows you like the character of John Coffey.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Of how such a good person that he is, and to the fact like. He also does then end up like killing the one guy in jail.
Yeah.
Too. So he's not perfect.
Next up, Cujo, the dog with the rabbis.
That makes a lot of sense.
Rabbis.
Yeah.
He gets real Jewish.
Yeah.
Oh wait, that's the wrong Cujo. Yeah. He gets the curls.
Yeah.
That would be a better movie. Instead of rabies, he got rabbis. He got bit by a rabbi and becomes super, super Jewish.
Instead of just like the rabies foam, it's just like the phlegm.
Yeah. Yeah. And then instead of barking, he just goes, oi, oi, oi. Spencer can make these jokes. He's 105% Jewish.
No,
he's not. He doesn't even wear a yarmulke. So basically, this Saint Bernard that gets bit by a rabies-carrying bat becomes a rabies. He goes from good boy to bad boy.
Yeah.
But I mean, can you blame him? So basically, the ending of this is bad because it's a tragedy and Cujo dies at the end, which obviously he's going to die as rabies.
Mm-hmm.
Why does that make it bad? I didn't read the book. Is it a bad ending in your opinion?
I mean, it's bad of an ending as a story about a dog with super rabies tormenting a mother and a child. But I mean, I'm surprised that because I'm pretty sure it's the book. The child dies at the end.
Well,
I'm pretty sure. I can't remember because I think they switched it. Because I think in the movie the child survives. I think
it just says it. Yeah, it just says it ends in. It's not a horror. It's a tragedy.
Yeah. So then probably the baby.
But it didn't say anything about the baby dying. But maybe they didn't want to sound like a puss.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to kill that kid.
Yeah.
Next up is It, and I know why this one gets the bad ending.
Yeah.
Everyone knows by now. It, another sprawling, great Stephen King novel, but this one ends in a child sex orgy, the ritual of Chud, that is really fucked up. It probably should have never been written like that.
No, probably not.
They probably should have done anything else but that to seal their bond of friendship. Instead of run a train on the ew. A lot of cocaine went into that story. Now we're on to the best.
Yeah. You know what? I'm surprised, though, real quick, that the Dark Tower entry, that was the one that they picked. I'm really surprised they didn't pick the ending for the last Dark Tower series.
Oh, Spencer, have you not read this whole list?
No, I skimmed through some of it.
Well, then maybe you'll be surprised, Spencer.
Oh, wow.
Because now we're on to the 10
best.
A spoiler within the spoilers. You like that, brother?
Spoilers everywhere to be all around.
Sometimes you gotta have a spoiler within the spoiler. I tell you, Spencer. Oh, yeah. So, first up on the best endings, Pet Sematary. That was one of my next books of Stephen King's I was supposed to read, but I keep skipping over and reading other shit.
Yeah.
But basically, and I know it goes by the movie as well, because his kid Gage gets hit by a truck and dies, and he buries him in the pet cemetery. Yeah. But that boy ain't quite fresh, and he come back dead, and sometimes dead is better.
Sometimes dead is better.
So he comes back, and he's a little asshole, and they gotta put him down. And he also buries the cat who got hit, and the cat comes back, and the cat's also an asshole. But you don't really know. It could have been.
It's a cat, so.
I mean, it could have, but it's gross, too.
Yeah.
It's gross. So, the dude's, the feller here, his wife dies, and then, what does he have the bright idea doing? What was his bright idea, Spencer?
He was gonna go in there and get his wife and go put her in that graveyard.
He's gonna go put her in that pet cemetery. And you know what happens when he puts her in that? Because she's fresher.
Yeah.
So he's like, well, if she's fresh, she won't come back so gross. She didn't die a gross death like the others. She didn't get run over. She's not mangled. So she might be all right. So he goes and puts her in that damn near pet cemetery. And then it ends with her coming back. And I think she says, hi, darling, or something from what I remember.
Something like that, yeah.
And maybe puts a gross hand probably, on his shoulder. And then that's where it ends. It doesn't show you or tell you what happens. But you know she's evil.
Yeah.
She's still evil. Probably has bad morning breath. Breath of the grave. Needful Things is up here as the next entry, Spencer.
I would agree with that. That was a really good book.
A malevolent entity moves into an idyllic small town and shakes things up by sowing discord and turning neighbor against neighbor. It's interesting. So this one ends. Few good people in Castle Rock, Maine manage to see through the evil shopkeeper's ruse and run him out of town. The book's The End or Is It epilogue proves that you can't keep a bad man down, and deliciously so. So it's one of those the eye opens at the end kind of deals. It's like, oh, he's dead. No, he's not. So they think they get rid of the guy, the bad entity, but he's not.
Well, yeah, because I mean, it's one of those kind of thing. It's like, oh, we got him out of this town, but he,
go somewhere else.
Yeah, because he was someplace else before he showed up there, so.
Like when we start launching garbage into space, it's just gonna go somewhere else.
Yeah,
it's not gonna be gone. Next up is Wolves of the Kala. I might be saying that one wrong. Kala.
Yeah, Kala. I think it's how.
So this is his version of like the Magnificent Seven Samurai story. This is as close as you'll get to a Stephen King samurai tale. So this is the 5th Dark Tower book.
Yeah.
And I'm not even going to go into the synopsis. Let's just go to the ending. How about that?
All right.
It introduces Stephen King as a writer character in the Dark Tower canon and harkens back to Roland and Eddie's earliest adventures with Susanna, who goes missing at the end of the novel.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a Stephen King cameo in a Stephen King book.
Yep.
That's why it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, The Wastelands. Remember that?
Oh yeah, well they're just throwing all the Dark Tower books in here.
That's got a spooky train, don't it?
I think so.
Isn't that the end of the fucking thing? Is a spooky train?
Maybe. Yeah, because I think it's that one, and then because I think that's the book that leads into the one that guy didn't like previously.
Yeah. So they go to an ancient city. The Roland and his gang, I guess. They go to an ancient city run by rival.
Quartet.
Shut up, Spence. I don't like the quartet. I thought that was some Superman's brother or something when I read that. An ancient city run by rival gangs who are deeply entrenched in a years-long war. There they meet Blaine the Mono, a sentient high-speed train who became mentally ill following his companion's suicide. It's hard being a train.
Yeah, it is.
Planning to go down in a blaze of glory, Blaine agrees to take them as far as they need to go, but only if they can beat him in a game. If they fail, he's going to take them out of this world with them. So it ends with you not knowing if they're going to live or die. Yeah. Flip that coin with the crazy train.
And there was a big gap of time in between.
6 years.
Yeah, in between those two books.
11/22/63.
I like this book a lot too.
So this was about a young man who goes back in time to stop the Kennedy assassination, from what I remember. Cause I think this this wasn't a movie.
It was like a Hulu miniseries. Or
okay, I remember seeing the trailer or something for it. So there's a time traveler portal in a burger joint, and basically this is good. It's not a detailed ending here. It says if you like Captain America's MCU story arc, you're going to love Jake and Sadie's story, the characters of this. So I'm guessing the guy he lives out his life again and is happy with the outcome.
Well, so because what happens when he goes back in time? It's like when he goes through that portal, he always goes back to the same point. So say then if he went back to the present and he went back again, he would go to the same point
every time.
So then he goes there, and it's a couple of years before the assassination attempt. So every time he goes there, he has to stay there and plan and stuff. And where he's in the past, he falls in love with this lady with this lady back then, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it messes around with the whole time travel trope and changing things and stuff like that.
The next one, this is an interesting one, Misery, because the book version is a way more grisly ending than the novel version. So the book version,
you mean the movie? Way more.
I mean, yeah, the movie version is not as gruesome as the novel version.
Yeah.
Because in the novel version, well, for those who don't know Misery, and I don't know why you would, basically Annie Wilkes, who is a crazy super fan, gets Paul, her favorite writer, happens to crash into her yard or something or other, and she kidnaps him basically and keeps him hostage and makes him write a new book just for her. And then she tortures him, breaks his legs. In the book, I think she cuts off his legs or his ankles.
Yeah, cuts the feet off.
In the movie, it's just the hobbling scene. Then in the movie, though, he eventually is able to get away. In the book, I believe he is murdered. I don't believe he gets to get away.
No, I don't believe so. No, I think he survives. I think he ends up murdering her, I think.
Well, let's see what this has to say. Annie's systematic torture mutilation of Paul is far more gruesome here than in the 1990 film adaptation. And Paul's final fight from his captor keeps readers on the edge of their seats, even if they already know what's coming round the bend. Doesn't say. I could have sworn, and I never read the book, but I could have sworn the book version I thought he croaked. But maybe he doesn't. Maybe you're right.
Maybe because I remember there being a scene like him in the, like, he's like at a dinner like with his agent afterwards. And like I think they were talking about maybe like, you know, because, you know, now he has all this heat from, you know, from this incident.
So they could turn that into.
And I think he has, I remember him like thinking he sees her. And maybe he dies from that. Like maybe he, you know,
We'll research after. The next one is Lizzie's story.
Yeah.
This is
that's a very weird one.
It's about a single woman, famous writer's widow who lures the man stalking her into a magical otherworld to die. He likes the magical otherworld with the stalkers and the bad guys. Only this time the world is connected directly to the woman's late husband who died with many painful secrets about his own past. The result is a profound meditation on the depths of grief, enduring love, and human connection. We are back with The Dark Tower. This is The Dark Tower. So this person picked the ending of The Dark Tower as one of the best endings of all time. And the ending is, from what I remember, circular, right? So it just ends with the first scene from the first novel.
Kind of, yeah.
So let me break it around here for you. So Roland gets to The Dark Tower. Opening the door of The Dark Tower leads him back to the desert from the beginning. This time, however, Roland has the Horn of Eld. So he basically has been just on this endless journey where he just keeps circling, you know, he keeps going through the tower and ends up at the beginning where he forgets everything because he has the Horn of Eld, an artifact he lost in his youth, which may hold the key to completing his mission. The ending of The Dark Tower is the beginning. The man in the black fled across the desert and the gunslinger followed, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, but that's what surprised me because like a lot of people are the other way around. A lot of people hate it. They get done, they read and they're like, what? Really? That's it? That, like, you know what I mean? And they don't, you know, they don't take the time to really think about it, but.
Well, this person liked it.
Yeah.
Next up is Revival. This is his H.P. Lovecraft most influenced story, at least the one I've read. Very H.P. Lovecraft influenced. It's the story of lifelong relationship between Charlie, a young preacher obsessed with finding electricity's untapped potential, and Jamie, one of his earliest parishioners and patients. And you go through both of their lives in a fun way. Not so much fun. There's a lot of heroin addiction and stuff.
Yeah.
But it ends when Charlie finally gets, because his wife dies and he wants to go to the other world, you know, heaven or whatever he thinks on the other side. He finally gets there. He gets to see it. And what's his face? Anyone that was electrocuted by this guy, because he has electric power, they all end up going crazy or dying too. But our main character also sees the other world. And it is this H.P. Lovecraft nightmare where everyone in humanity who dies ends up naked in a long chained line led by these hideous giant ants.
Yeah.
And there's just these eldritch gods in the sky somewhere just yucking it up, I guess, just loving it. And it is terrible.
Yeah.
It is one of the most horrifying endings I ever saw because everyone, whether you believe in this or not, is destined for that.
And it's very like that was very out of left field from what the majority of the book was.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, there was hints at it throughout, but you never got it was going to be eldritch horror at the end.
Right,
like,
yeah.
It's never going to be cosmic horror.
Because, like, you know, you say the H.P. Lovecraft, like, influence, like, but it's all at that end. You really don't get much of that.
But even before that, it goes, like, full Frankenstein at the end.
Right,
with
yeah.
the, like, lightning and bringing an reanimated corpse back and all this shit. And then we just H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah. We both really like that book.
So do you want to know what the greatest Stephen King ending of all time is, according to this?
No.
Salem's Lot.
Huh.
All right, so let's see. Salem's Lot won out in the end, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so King perfectly nails the kind of open endings that cause banana peel faceplants in the eyes of the dragon and Cell. 1 year after they watched everyone in town succumb to the vampire invasion, survivors Ben and Mark returned to Jerusalem's Lot, Maine. Now a ghost town in the light of day to finish what they started. It's a pitch-perfect close to a chilling vampire story. So they picked a non-ending as the best.
Right? Well, it was like a non-ending earlier was not.
Yeah, we even mentioned it, so that's interesting. So on your personal level, what would you pick as just some of your worst and best? I mean, they could be from the list, but just you don't have to go through them all. Just like, what's your worst and what's your best if you can regale us with your.
Let's see. Oh, I really like any like The Outsider or any of the Mercedes trilogies of book. Each one of those ended pretty well, I do believe. So I'm trying to think of some things that maybe weren't already on the list, just to try to, get some new flavor in there.
You were right about that. Misery. There's a scene where he's getting like run over by a lawnmower or something. I thought that was. I thought he croaked, but he doesn't bite it. It was the ending you said with but he does see her, and he's on drugs and stuff.
Like, I agree with that guy. Like, I like kind of like the ending of the Dark Tower. I wish they would do more though. That'd be nice. Like somehow
more Dark Tower.
Yeah, more Dark Tower.
Darker Tower.
Darker Tower. I'm having a hard time with things. Like I remember, I remember really liking Dead Zone, but I can't remember how the ending of that though. I think it ended pretty good. I'm surprised like The Shining's not on there.
Shining was a pretty solid ending.
Yeah. I'm surprised that's not on there. I mean, even kind of like Carrie too.
Yeah.
With the and taking everybody out and stuff like that.
The solid ending it's an actual ending.
Right.
I would go personally, just from all the Stephen King I've read, I would go for Revival. I think Revival was my favorite. Shawshank's a good one too if we go short stories. I don't know if we count those or novellas, but I like that one as well.
I mean, well, he did do The Green Mile, so
I haven't read The Green Mile, so I don't know if the ending is the same.
No, but I mean, just as like the story length.
Oh yeah, right. I would like to know what our fans think.
Yeah.
If you listen this long, why don't you reach out to us and let us know what your favorite and least favorite Stephen King endings are? There are some stinkers out there, though.
Yeah.
There's so I think a big portion of what makes some of those endings bad was that the book was so long, and then the ending was kind of a dud. If the book wasn't so long and it was that kind of ending, you probably wouldn't care.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So you can reach out to us at DPW Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and maybe eventually Blue Sky if that ever opens up. What's the new one? Facebook Threads.
What's that?
That's Facebook just unleashed their Twitter killer.
Oh, I was gonna say, is that the thing that's causing the fight between the two?
Yeah. So Facebook, Meta, I guess Meta Threads, or I think it's just Threads, but it just looks like a boggier version of Twitter. Yeah. So
just get rid of it all.
Yeah, just get rid of it all. You can follow Spencer on his OnlyFans. What are you? The Dairy Dookie Decorator Church. Yes. I was gonna say lots of things. You can follow me at CalebJamesK.com to see what I'm up to. Maybe see if I got published in Taco Bell Quarterly and get $100.
And just in Taco Bell gift cards.
I won't even spend that $100. I'll put it in the studio. They'll probably send it to me in gift cards to Taco Bell. Yeah. So anyway, we thank you for listening, and we will check you next week.